the very first episode of Masterminds of Influence. I am not alone, obviously. I am with a man that I look up to. My spiritual covering, my father, my daddy, the man who speaks over my life. By the way, I am Maggie Mahlaule, and welcome to Masterminds of Influence. Let's look who we have with us today. Welcome to my space, my corner, Daddy.
That's an honor. I'm so delighted to be sitting here with you on a very relaxed setup.
Yes.
It's such an honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting my invitation. You are my very first guest. You are my first fruit.
Wow.
So one day you're going to be in the billboard somewhere to say, this is the first offering of Masterminds of Influence.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that we are not opening the Bible today. I'll hear that on Sunday.
Oh, yes. Now, for a change, it's also exciting for me to be sitting in a very relaxed atmosphere and setup like this.
Definitely.
And I'm glad and I'm honored to be the first guest of Masterminds.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Let's start it here. Thabiso.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, there are certain areas like Busoweto, Busoshanguve, Winterfeld, whereby you were told or you heard that those are dangerous places. Nothing really comes out good from that place, especially when it comes to issues of violence. It comes to your gender-based violence, your alcohols and drug abuse and many other negative matters. But here I am sitting every Sunday, every day, listening to powerful messages and many other people out there listening and learning a lot from somebody who comes from Thabiso. Let's study there. How did you reach this point coming from Thabiso?
It's amazing. It can only be God's grace.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at the statistics, they say a man of my age, by now, growing up in a location like Thabiso, I should be somewhere in jail.
Yes.
I should be sitting on a wheelchair. I should be having children everywhere. I should be dead and buried and forgotten. I should be unemployed, sitting in my mother's house.
Back room.
Yeah, back room, asking all these young boys growing up to give me 2 rands or 10 rands and Dwana Ungzam. Yeah, so therefore, that's what the statistics. So looking at where I am, it's contrary to what the statistics says. So it can only be God's grace. Born and bred in Thabiso. Fortunately, one of the things that I think my mother did for us was to force us to go to church. My mother would literally say, if I leak everything, I'm locking my house.
It's her house, by the way.
Yeah. So we were forced to go to church, but I think church became my safe place, especially growing up and being raised by a single parent. It was not easy. It was not an easy thing that my mother would do to raise all of us, at home.
And how many were you?
We are 8 siblings.
We were 10, actually.
You were 10?
We were 10. 2 unfortunately passed on. We are now 8.
Wow.
But we didn't grow up together like the sardines,
Yeah.
The other ones were much older and already in their own houses. So we grew up actually as 5 siblings, but in total we were 10.
Wow. Yeah, I come from a family of 8 siblings, 4 girls and 4 boys. 1 boy passed on, who is my elder brother, passed on. And so we are left with 3 guys and 4 ladies. Got married, others left the house and and all of that. But my mother is still around.
How old is she now?
My mother is 82 years of age this year.
Sure.
She's turning 82. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Mine is turning 85 in April.
Wow.
So let's talk a little bit about that age.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give me some tips.
Right.
Because they are moody. They are holding on to a lot of many other things.
Of course.
That even the first heartbreaks, a lot.
Yeah.
But on my side, I realized that her weakness as her grandchildren.
Yeah.
She can shout however she wants, but when it comes to her grandchildren, she is a softie. So how do you deal with that? Because sometimes I just feel like, maybe I need a course or something to be able to
Unfortunately,
deal with it.
they are the same.
Sure.
They are the same. My mother was tough with us. Remember, as a single parent, she had to be very tough, had to play a role of a father.
Also to society.
Exactly. And so, but now I realize that when it comes to her grandchildren, she's so
a darling.
easy. She's a softie of note. It's not even funny.
Wow.
But yeah, we were raised by her wonderful 8-year-olds. I think they are now slowly gravitating towards being children again.
They are.
Yeah, my mother is really, really special. Let me put it that way.
Very special. I understand and I know very well what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then in terms of church, you say she was forcing that every Sunday you go to church.
Right.
Which church? Maybe not the name, but basically what kind of a
church? No, I'm even comfortable to talk about that. Yeah. I was born and bred in the Apostolic Faith Mission, AFM, in Tembisa. At that time, it was still led by Dr. Mutsweni, Adam Mutsweni, and Mama Prophetess Esther Mutsweni. As a matter of fact, that woman is the one that groomed me, shaped me, saw the calling in my life, spoke into my life, even said certain things to my mother about me while I was still a boy. It said, Lomfana lo nobizo, Mamkhan, Lomfana lo nobizo, and all of that. And at some point, I lived at the mission house. I lived with them. There was a time where she got sick. And I had to literally go live there so that I help, because one of the guys who was my friend, Melusi, was a son, a grandson to them.
So you were technically a son, not just only in matters of church, but you were like their own son. Yeah,
literally. I grew up there. I spent some couple of years there. She taught us prayer. She taught us the gates of time. She would tell the helper then to go wake us up, because we were living at the back room, to wake us up at 6 in the morning. And then we would pray at 9 again in the morning, pray at 12, pray at 3, pray at 6. So that's where my spirituality was shaped. Yeah, living in that house shaped me very strong to be the man that that contributed greatly to be the man that I am today. She taught me prayer. She imparted spiritual gifts in me. She spoke into my life. She reprimanded us. She aligned us and all of that. And of course, Dr. Mtsweni, our spiritual father, also played a role. But Mam Mtsweni, being there with her, looking after her, because she had stroke then. She was hit by stroke. So therefore, we would spend most of the time with her at home, looking after her. That, it was my time of receiving impartation and grace and the mental. I grew up in the Apostolic Faith Mission in Tembisa.
So where is Mam Mtsweni now?
She passed on to be with the Lord. When she transitioned to go to glory, she was old, but at that time I had already left Faith Mission. I had already left Faith Mission because by God's grace I happened to live in London. In 2000.
So from Tembisa to London.
And so when I came back to South Africa, my view of church and how I look at life had changed. And then I left Faith Mission. I met a man who introduced me into the apostolic and the prophetic. And then that's where I was shaped doctrinally now. And I began to understand certain deep things about the things of the spirit. I left Tembisa. I was in Bronkhorstspruit most of my time, which was where I was shaped. I attended a school called the Melchizedek Dimension School of Ministry.
Oh,
yeah, and that's where I was shaped a lot in terms of my doctrine and my belief and all of that. I was introduced to the meat of the word.
Yes, yes.
So I came back and I served. I served in different churches. I served different men of God.
That's profound.
Yeah.
That's profound.
As a matter of fact, at Faith Mission, I used to sing.
So
I was a
can
worship
you sing?
leader.
Or it is a matter of there were no other people, but unfortunately, automatically
Maggie,
you are part of that.
Maggie, please. You know, well, now I cannot sustain or hold a note like I used to. You know, no, it's not an excuse. But I'm telling you the truth. I used to sing. This is where I started. I used to sing in Sunday school.
Okay, Sunday school.
Yeah, I used to sing with the youth. I used to sing with the youth choir. I was part of the praise and worship. I used to lead some songs. I used to lead worship.
I think we need part 2 of this episode.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. So the calling got the best of me and got the best over my gift.
Oh, yes.
As a matter of fact, another man of God taught me something. He said, don't allow the gift to overshadow the calling.
Don't allow the gift to overshadow the calling.
The calling, of course, yeah. And so therefore, I needed to allow my calling to be out there and to be seen and to be more visible than my gift.
Because it defines who you really are.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. My purpose is connected to that. So singing is my gift, but preaching the word of God is my calling. And so I had to embrace my calling more than my gift.
Yes.
And most people were still looking at me being one of the singers and musicians in South Africa because I was gravitating towards that. It was very clear, as a matter of fact, to many. They thought that was the direction I was going to take. But it had to turn somewhere.
It had to take God's way.
Turn somewhere.
Yes.
And so I pursued my preaching and all of that, my preaching calling and
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So now let's talk about Dr. Thabiso Mogano.
Right.
How did that happen?
Yeah. When I got into ministry, I started as a traveling minister. So I would be invited here and there and all of that until God said to me, now it's your turn and your time and your season to establish a church.
Okay.
And I started a ministry called Kingdom Life Cathedral.
Kingdom Life Cathedral.
Yeah, in Krugersdorp. And we started, and now when I got into ministry, I realized that beyond knowing and understanding scriptures, it's important for one to equip themselves.
Amen to that.
Just because one can preach and osculate and dissect the word, it's not enough. I personally think that you need to work on the gift, sharpen the gift, do other things and all of that, you know. And so I then started to study on the side.
Okay.
And I studied on the side, and that's how I acquired my doctorate degree with the chaplaincy degree as well.
Yes.
And so, yeah, that's how it happened. But all of this, it happened in my latter years, meaning when now I'm old, when now I'm a spiritual father, I'm a pastor, I'm a husband, I'm a father, and all of that. It happened then. So, which is another thing to say. You never say you are old.
Exactly.
You cannot be old to develop yourself, to grow yourself, and to become better.
No, very true.
And I think for Africans to take over in this epoch, we've got to work on ourselves. We've got to go back to school. We've got to study. And not only South Africa, but Africans as a whole. And we can see that Africans are emerging. But one thing that may sabotage us is, which can be a limiter, it can be our education, it can be how good we work on ourselves. And sometimes education, it's not to go back to a classroom to acquire a degree, but to read. Read material. There's lots of books out there that you can read that can make you better and shape you. And which is another thing for me that helped me.
No, very true. And I think as you're talking, I'm reminded of the fact that I didn't call you as my first guest because you're my spiritual father, but because there's quite a lot. Even people who are not in the ministry, there's a lot to learn from you. You know, for the mere fact that you decided to go to school so that you can earn this doctorate. It shouldn't just come from the work you work. And look, I'm not against the honorary doctorates and anything like that, but I believe that it's good that somebody works and learns and studies so that you can be an influence, a real influence, not actually by luck. You know. And talking about the sons, you've got sons everywhere. In Canada, in London, in South Africa, it is just everywhere. But I noticed something. You attract greatness. You don't just attract any other ordinary person. Because it takes somebody of a certain level to understand and actually hear your preachings, hear your sermons. And you attract unique people. I'm not sure whether that is grace, that is favor. If I'm to ask you, what do you think, or how is this happening? What would your answer be?
What a powerful question. I think that you in life you attract who you are.
Amen.
One of the things that I always recommend, which are the things that I also had to do in my life and I'm still doing, I recommend that every emerging leader, every current leader, and everyone who is going to impact and influence a generation, a community, a nation, and nations of the world to a global level, you need to continue to work on you.
Yes.
Work on your confidence. You can work on your confidence because we come into the kingdom bruised, hurt, and we even get hurt even here. So you must continue to work on your confidence. Without having the right confidence, you may not be able to project what God has grieved in you. Work on your speaking. Learn to speak well. Work on your listening. One of the things I had to teach myself was to don't listen to respond, but listen to understand so that you can respond appropriately and accurately. And work on your behavior. Work on your attitude. The working on a person is so critical that sometimes our relationships fail because we allow the bleeding of yesterday to bleed into today. The bleeding of the past relationship to bleed on the current relationship because we are not healed, we are not well. So the working on you helps you. And then it is at a certain level in your life where you begin to attract people like you. You know, when you are serious about life and you are focused, you attract people that are serious and are focused and are disciplined and they know what they want.
And they know also what you want as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's those things that I think that at this epoch of my life, it helps me attract people of that caliber, of that nature. As a matter of fact, I must be honest with you. God never ceases. God is a man of humor. Yeah, he never ceases to amaze me. Some of the people, if not most of the people that I attract, I mean, I look at you guys, you are more gifted than I am. You are more better than I am. And I say, God, what is it? And God keeps on saying to me that they are better than you, but in your time, you had to increase capacity so that you can be able to house them and be able to keep them. I may be anointed than more than my sons and daughters, but I'm certainly not the most gifted one. They are the most gifted one.
You threw away the singing gift.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So you guys are more gifted, you know,
Wow.
in
Wow.
terms of everything that you do. I see that God is bringing great minds. But also there was a season in my life where I went through a very bad and a rough season of my life. When the enemy thought he was burying me,
Sure.
actually it was the season where God was regenerating me.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
my season of rebirth. At that season, birthed a better me. And out of that season, a lot of things were shaped in me. My thinking, my behavior, the way I look at life, the way I look at things, even the way I look at church changed, and it shaped me to be better, contributed to the man that I am today. And that was increasing my capacity so that I can be able to speak into the lives of people that are way better than me. So God had to mature me. God had to grow me.
Yes,
God had to, you know, I've always, even in my younger stages, I always had older friends. You know,
Wow.
I've always been surrounded by people that were older than me and all of that, because I've always, even growing up, I've been a young man who was pursuing wisdom, pursuing understanding, wanted to know more. I was very inquisitive. I wanted this and that and that.
I
And
think
so
you are still inquisitive.
I am. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm very inquisitive. That one, yeah, no. I'm very inquisitive. And I'm one man who is not afraid to say, I don't know.
Yes, true.
When I don't
Very
know,
true.
I
Very
don't
true.
know.
Yes,
When I
yes.
know, I know. And that for me made me to know that I'm not only called to shape and change the thinking of Thabiso or the people that I grew up with.
Yes.
But that for me made me to know that God has called me for the globe.
Yes. No, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. But then now talking about that, there's other things that you are doing that I want us to talk about, including the books. You are an author as well.
Yeah.
Much as you believe you are not as gifted as people around you, but we look at you and we be like, wow, what a gift. The kind of wisdom that we want to be, you know, to have. So let's talk about other things, your networks, the books you've written.
Right. Right. Yes. 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 I've written 2 books to date.
Okay.
Which is In His Vineyard. It's just a devotional book.
Like the daily devotional.
Yeah,
book.
daily devotional book. And then I've written a book called Tattoos Are Still There.
Very interesting. I want to ask what actually inspired. If someone sees tattoos are still there, they're gonna think, okay, let's hear what this person smoked, you know.
Yeah. Very interesting. It was that season that I was going through.
Oh, okay.
A very painful season of my life. A lot of people left me. Church members left. I was just going
But
through.
you still had God.
Yeah, I still had God.
Sure.
And it was in that season I went to Kumbuk.
Kumbuk, yes.
I was looking for...
We're giving them free advertising now.
Yeah, exactly. Free advertising space. So I went to I was looking for a book. And I didn't know which book. I was looking for a book because I wanted something that can speak into my situation based on the season that I was going through.
Yes.
And I got 2 books or 3 books, I don't remember. When I came out of the store, I saw a white lady wearing shorts and vests. She had tattoos all over her. And I looked at this woman and I said, this woman with so much tattoos, what's going on? That picture of that woman stayed in my mind. I got home, the picture was still there. Little did I know that it was God speaking to me about tattoos. That's how the title came, Tattoos Are Still There. I started to think about tattoos, and then I began to realize that tattoos are an indelible mark. A tattoo is an indelible mark. And it's a mark that you can't easily wipe off or remove. It's there. As a matter of fact, they say it's more painful to try to remove a tattoo than to insert a tattoo.
I've heard that also.
They even say it's more expensive to even try to remove a tattoo than to insert a tattoo. So a tattoo then becomes part of your skin.
So it
stays in your skin forever, because even to remove a tattoo, you are tattooing yourself to remove a tattoo.
Oh, okay.
If, for an instance, I've written your name, Maggie, and I'm tired of this Maggie on my skin, for me to remove that Maggie, I've got to try to write something to erase Maggie. So it's still a tattoo.
Of art or something.
Yeah. Sure. And then the Lord said to me, there are indelible marks in you. The season you are going through, there are indelible marks. There are things that nothing will remove them. You must just make peace that are there, but use them as lessons. Tattoos are still there. You know, it is an experience that nobody can take away from you. It's an indelible mark in your inside that nobody can take away from you. It's up to you to allow it to either break you or make you a better person. And so I had to now look at my situation that way. And I wrote a book, Tattoos Are Still There. That book, it comes from my life experience. I'm literally writing about my life experience and what I've been through to say tattoos are still there. So just because you see somebody beautiful walking there and you think that, oh, they've got it all together. Oh, hold on.
You don't know what happens.
People are going through stuff. People have been through stuff. People have been through divorce. People have lost their children. People, their houses got burned. People lost their cars. People lost their businesses, and so on and so forth. And but even though the tattoo is still there, but the person is still carrying on with their lives. So the book comes from that experience. Tattoos are still the indelible marks are still there, but I'm soldiering on.
And how do people get hold of the book?
The book is there. It's I've got the book on Amazon. So one can go to Amazon and download, buy the book on Amazon. So it's there. And then or you can contact our office. You can go to our social media pages and you know, just write there and say you want the book, Tattoos Are Still There. That book is profound because it can help you in any situation that you find yourself in, be it divorce, be it a loss of a job, a loss of a child, a loss of a loved one, and all of you know. But that book can help one heal, be restored, and move on with their lives. It's a very profound book that I encourage people to go get.
Yes. So you seem to be having a lot of passion in terms of writing.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that there's an online leadership going on.
Yeah.
You know, can you maybe tell more of that one?
Yeah. I have a network called Juniper Apostolic Network.
Okay.
And then under the Juniper Apostolic Network, we've got Juniper Family of Churches. This is where I cover, is the covering for all the external sons that have their own churches.
Yes.
In Canada, in the UK, and so on and so forth. Even here in South Africa. And so, and then under that, we also have the Juniper School of Leadership. It's an online school of leadership. I think my passion is more on raising African leaders. Yes. I'm of the belief that Africa does not have a problem with resources.
Yes, but we are rich in resources.
Yeah, Africa, as a matter of fact, 24% of clean water, it's in Africa. 70% of land that grows food is in Africa. So Africa is our time to arise. It's not in the lack of resources. Our deficit as African is on leadership. Yes. And so God always speaks to leaders, and then leaders cascade the message to the followers, to the subordinates. God spoke to Moses. Moses had to speak to Israel.
Yes.
God spoke to Joshua. Joshua had to speak to them. There's got to be the Josephs that are rising, the Daniels that are rising in our time. And I think the church, more than preparing people as the bride of Christ, we need to also raise kingdom sons who will be leaders in their spheres of influence, their spheres of operation. And let's see Africa taking over and emerging in this epoch. So the Juniper School of Leadership is to raise leaders, the leaders that God is raising, preparing for this epoch time and season. There's got to be somebody who must prepare them, institutions that must prepare them, that must shape them, that must raise them, so that for the longest time, Africa has been an inconvenience, so to say, to some of us who are well-traveled by God's grace. You can see when you travel the world that we are being tolerated as Africans. But I believe that we are sitting and standing at the time of emergence. And Africa is rising. And we've got to see Africans, young Africans, occupying positions of leadership. It's very embarrassing to even see that in our government, we have a lot of incompetent individuals occupying responsible positions because we have a deficit of leadership. And so we need influence is not at the factory, right there at the bottom. Influence is at the top. And so we need to teach our people not only to know the word, but to imbibe the leadership skills and styles of Christ, so that our people can have influence there at the top, not only here. We cannot just be here in the church and be having our candles, all of us, this little light of mine, and then we end up burning each other with this light.
And we are burning each other
we
daily.
burn each other with this light instead of going out there to influence, to impact, to emerge, to rise, and to take over. So when it comes to the issues of Africa rising, I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate to see leaders emerging. As a matter of fact, my calling is to raise leaders. Even if you look at our vision, our vision is to raise leaders that will revolutionize their generation and make a global impact. So therefore, that's my passion, is to raise leaders, turning learners into leaders. That's what so Juniper Apostolic School of Leadership, it's all about that. It's about raising leaders. African leaders.
African leaders.
African leaders. This is our time.
Yes. I'm just concerned about time now. But before we wrap up, I think honestly, we need part 2 of this, because what we were talking about is actually just more like the basics. We need to go deep into this.
Amen.
But then before we wrap up, there is someone. We've got a guest. We've got another person joining us who wants to say something to you.
Yeah. Wow. We've got a guest.
We've got a guest.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who wants to?
Who wants to talk to you? Who wants to say something to you?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Let the guest come.
Okay. They say that an apple doesn't fall far from the tree. One of the things that I asked myself when I met this brother of mine, a friend of mine some years back, was the way he speaks. Who is he? I was wondering a lot about his covering the church and many other things and the person of influence in his life, until I also came into the family. Pastor Tshepo Twala, people know you as ditsebe.com.
Yes.
But I just want to leave this to you. Here is our father. Aswaha Holy One is my father as well.
All right.
You might have come in before, but we are now in the same tribe.
Yeah,
Bona. Yes. What is it that you want to say to our father? Like I said, the way you speak. Before I knew about your church, before I knew about who you look up to, your train of thoughts, your mindset has been so different compared to other men of God and friends that I've had. And I remember the first time you invited me to join the online prayer service, I didn't hesitate. I didn't know Daddy, but the fact that how you speak has always been making me wonder where you're coming from, made me accept the invitation. So clearly, this is because of the influence. But let me not speak for yourself. Onale mulomo, you can speak for yourself.
No, indeed. Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be sitting in the same podium with my father. I want to pick from one of my father's quotes in Dr. Thabiso Mogano.
You see, I said like father, like son. Apple doesn't fall away from the tree. Right there. He's already starting. I want to quote my father.
Yeah.
This is how you are speaking.
Yeah, look, I think as I grow as a man, I begin to understand that ego can make you and sabotage your destiny.
Wow.
By you wanting to start something new. And when you see the pattern and the order, the way God does, Christ says, if it were me, I would say, let this cup pass.
Yes.
Then Christ is trying to denote and connotate there to say, I do not speak of my own. So a son speaks because there's somebody who has spoken into their lives.
Yes.
And this is me. And I'm not one to shy away from it. And my father says, I'm a collage of many conversations.
Wow.
A collage of many meetings. And this is me saying this to him. My father, I'm a collage of many meetings I've had with you. Wow. Many things that you have had. And I'm not talking a one-side affair.
Yes,
He's not a biased man.
Exactly.
He's a concoction. There are moments whereby my father would rebuke strongly and I said, hey, and you wake up with the verse that says, the father chastises those whom he loves. You can never build with sons whom you are scared to reprimand.
Yes.
Whom you are scared to talk to. Whom you are scared to say now there are billions and now
because what a katadi type.
That's a thing. But with a man that you are, my father, you are a voice. Yes. You have been and you will continue to. Wow. Because you have taught me that every decade there's a new voice that speaks upon a man. Yeah. Wow. You continue many decades to come to be that man. And you have influenced me. And I looked at the term influence. It says the power to change.
Yes.
The power to make someone do something without a forceful manner. Come on. Sometimes my father, I look at you and say, I can check You see, I did not button up because he did not button up. That's influence right there. To say, no, there's a school of thought to say, no buttons.
Yeah.
All right.
It's influence. And then his non-verbal speaks to me.
Oh, yes.
His verbal is just a stamp of authority in my life. My father, thank you for being an influence in my life. And you've taught me that no one can grow beyond their pulpit.
Oh, yes.
And he said to me, my son, it means that everything that you need in life is within you. And you look at my father, the way he postures when it comes to pulpit. He doesn't bend. He postures up. He showed us up. He says, I'm working.
Confidence.
Even how we go on stage. He says, my son, when you get on stage, you do the work.
Yes.
My father, that is you. Wow. On and off the pulpit. You have become pulpit.
Sure.
You have influenced me as a son, as a father, as a man, you know, as a leader.
Yes.
I look at the world through your lenses. To say, what is he saying? I've picked so many people that people would make them to be big and whatnot. And I say, but he's saying nothing. My father would say, no. Deep calleth unto deep. You have made us not to be shallow. In our thingology, you have made us not to be shallow.
That sounds like vows already.
You have made us not to be shallow. In the word dimension, you advocate even certain scriptures and put errors in place. You are the man that speaketh upon my life. So I am not one to shy away to say you are an influence. Yeah. Sometimes he speaks in his quietness. There are situations selling things that happen in my life and say, Konji Timer, when he refers to such a thing, what would happen? And I would come back to him with a testimony. And he has long forgotten and say, my son, did I say that? Me, I have an extra eye because I'm your son.
Yes.
And this is the pattern. And he allows us. I'm speaking even on behalf of other sons. He allows us to be and say, my son, run with it. Run with it. The other day, he calls the leaders and he says, I want to remain at the mountaintop.
Yes.
You do this thing.
Yes.
Who does that? A man of his caliber. He entrusts you with the work of the Lord. And he says, my son, even when I'm not there, the work has to continue. Contrary to what we are seeing today, when the man of God is gone, the ministry is gone.
It's a mess.
But dad would call and say, how has things been? Not because he's checking the wrongs, but he's validating what he has taught. Thank you so much, my father, for being a thought leader, a metropolitan leader that you are. You continue to constantly, perpetually reinvent yourself. In your writability, we see. In your jargon, you've helped us to be better.
Yes.
You make us to shy away from anything that will make us to be shallow. I am a man becoming because of you. You are able to embrace me. You are able to release me. I am raised by you. And I am your son. What an honor to call you Father.
Wow.
And I'm sitting in the stage with you, Prophet, and I'm saying, Minang ne time.
Hey, Ipona, we are fathered, not you alone. We are.
Or I need
are
to
fathered.
include you. Or it's
You want me to cut off this
of
part?
inclusivity. We are fathered. So with a heart of gratitude, Daddy, may God keep you for us.
I hope you didn't call me here to cry. I hope you didn't call me here.
It was not an intention to make you cry.
Wow, this is humbling.
Yes,
you
no,
guys.
true,
Thank
very
you so
true,
much.
very
I
true.
really
And
appreciate
yeah,
it.
no,
Thank you,
that is so true. And I know that the sons out there, when they watch this, some are here watching us now. They really are conquering with what he's saying. The fact what he's saying that it's not one-sided. There's times where I had to have meetings and other engagements with you, where you had to cancel important things because you said, my daughter, you are coming in before. You come in first. I prioritize you. That says a lot. For you to admit, I can't do this. I'm relying on you guys to help me with this. It says a lot about you.
Wow.
That you are not thinking you are above where you are. You know that you are not an island, that you need everyone around you in order for the vision to continue. Being a vision bearer, you are not an implementer. So what Pastor Twala is saying is so profound. It is so true. He's not buying your face. He is saying the honest truth that I know other sons out there will agree with him.
Sure.
But unfortunately, because of time, we've got to end it here. But part 2 is coming. Part 2 is coming. And thank you so much for being my very first guest. I owe you chocolates.
Oh, please.
I owe you chocolates.
May I want Kit Kat?
Kit Kat. That's great. That's great. I thought you would be telling names. I don't know. I have to go and Google them.
Oh, what a great time of fellowship. Thank you for having me. It's
Thank
such
you.
wonderful. Thank you so much, guys. I
Thank
love
you.
you and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank
Wow.
you. So to you, my new friend out there, as I said, these are masterminds of influence you have heard for yourself. Masterminds of influence. You must please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media pages. Contact us at the numbers and the email addresses that you're going to see. At the bottom of your screen, you've got someone that you want to see me sitting with. Can be someone from the spiritual perspectives, academics, culture, anybody. But I was saying to my brother that even those who are playing my dice at the corner, as long as there is something of influence they are doing, we want to speak to them. We want to hear what is it that they are doing different that you and I can learn from. Until next time, goodbye. God bless you. My name is Maggie Mahlaule.